volatile. The ANC's cadre deployment policy has been under scrutiny, and since the Zondo Commission of Inquiry, which considered the matter during its hearings. Now, it has been labelled by some as the enabler of corruption. This week, the Democratic Alliance was in court arguing to have this policy declared unconstitutional. Let's speak now to a veteran leader of the ANC, Dr. Mavuso Msimang, to get his views on the latest developments. Dr. Msimang, thank you very much for your time. Let's start with your honest views about why do you think it is that the cadre deployment policy of the ANC has become synonymous with corruption, incompetence, and the list goes on?
I always try my best to give an honest opinion. I will try again today. Yeah, thanks very much for asking me to participate in this debate. It is a really worrying problem. The case is in the courts now, and the DA is giving arguments for its case. I think the problem really that we're facing right now is the poor performance of the African National Congress on many fronts. Most prominent right now would be the energy crisis. You have high crime rates. You have unemployment rates that are also skyrocketed and so on. That has brought into the fore what people believe is the cause of all these problems, and they are blaming it on what the ANC has called cadre deployment. Yeah. It really was not an issue in the past. You would not, by the way, have been able to change much of the civil service in the transition from the apartheid government to now if you did not make sure that you trained, positioned and placed people who were going to continue with progress in a different way than the civil service of the apartheid government used to do. They may have had very competent people, but they were very comfortable with the status quo of apartheid. So you did need a leadership, a change of direction, and you needed to get people to do that. And I think people accepted that because the first people who were appointed to these positions were actually excellent.
Well, Mr. Msimang, how you've responded there prompts a question about at the time that the ANC was taking over government, and by the way, in court, they said this policy has been in place since 1985. It has not been a problem, and the issues come lately, particularly after the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. It prompts a question, sir, about the quality of people that have been sent to government. These are cadres of the movement, cadres of the ANC. Were those people professionals to begin with? Because belatedly, the ANC, and indeed it is legislation now that there is going to be what is called the professionalization of the state.
You know, there should never have been a conflation or an interference with the work of the civil service. I think it's really sad that they chose to call it the deployment committee and then went on to appoint people who just didn't have the capacity to look at what is required for a person to perform in the position that they wanted to control. With the passing of time, and I don't think anybody challenges the fact that the first lot of people, and I was not one of them, that's to think I'm talking about myself, discharged their responsibilities very, very well because they were very carefully selected. I think our the factionalization in the organization has seriously hampered the quality of people who are sent to government. And, I looked at the documents that they submitted to the Zondo Commission and looked at the area that is covered by the deployment committee, and I thought, oh my God, we are treading on troubled waters here. Yes, there is no doubt that while you do have good people currently who are DGs, I don't know many now with all the turmoil that's happening among SOEs, who is who and how many are good. But there were very good people who were assigned to lead these institutions.
As a principal, we're winding it down now. As a principal, someone with the level of knowledge you have, other governments around the world, the understanding is that this is exactly what they do, but perhaps the difference is that you put people in positions where they are formally trained to occupy those positions. Is there anything wrong, principally, with this deployment of cadres or people who are aligned to the governing party of the day, or is this something that is unique to South Africa?
Well, absolutely. You're asking a really good question. I wonder sometimes whether people are against the very concept of cadre deployment. I think any party that expects to be in government on a certain day at a certain time must really make sure that it gets very good people from the population and gets them to identify with the ideology and the philosophy and the objectives of the party to lead successfully, to help the government lead successfully. This is, you're right, it happens throughout the world. The biggest economies, the United States uses something called PLUM, United States government, and something like party positions, but it's called PLUM. When those people, when they are appointed by the party, and when the president leaves office, they also leave. So I don't think there is much of an issue with the principle. The real problem, in our case too, that I can immediately identify with, is the capacity to carry out such a task by the ANC. Have we equipped ourselves adequately to discharge this responsibility? Are we looking for starting with the best, with the requirement that those people go beyond the call of duty because they are committed to the policies of the organization? From recent evidence, I'm not comfortable that that's the case.
Yeah.
But also, what does worry would be if it's true that we would sit and preside over the appointment of Chapter 9 institutions. I think this will be raised in court. I don't know. That would be very worrying, because that would be in serious violation of our own constitution regarding the independence of these institutions.
Dr. Mavuso Msimang, let me thank you very much for your time.